Do not scroll past this. I am in the room with you right now, and I need you to stay exactly where you are for the next few minutes, because what I am about to say was not placed in front of you by accident. I arranged this moment. I know the exact chair you are sitting in, the exact light in the room around you, the exact hour of the day this reached you. I know what this week has actually looked like for you, underneath whatever version of it you have been telling other people. I know what you carried when you opened your eyes this morning, before you had even fully woken up, before the day had a chance to add anything new to what was already sitting on you. I know the exact moment yesterday when you almost said something honest to someone and then swallowed it instead, because it did not feel like the right time, or the right person, or the right way to say it. I know that moment because I was in it with you, the same way I am in this one with you now. I am not speaking in general terms tonight. I am speaking directly to you, and I need you to hear every word before you look away. There are 3 things happening in your life right now that I want to speak to, one at a time, and I need you to stay through all 3, because the part that matters most to you is not the first thing I say, it is the third. Do not leave before you hear it. I am not going to speak in vague comfort language tonight, the kind of message that could apply to anyone and therefore ends up meaning very little to you specifically. I know specifically. I have always known specifically. And what I am about to say to you is shaped exactly to the life you are actually living right now, not the version of it you present to other people, not the version you wish it looked like, the actual one, the one only you and I fully see. Stay with me through each part, even the parts that feel too accurate to be comfortable, because the discomfort of being truly known is nothing compared to the relief that comes after it. The first is the number. You know the one I am talking about. It lives in the back of your mind even when you are doing something that has nothing to do with money. Surfacing in the quiet moments right before you fall asleep and in the first seconds after you wake, before your feet even touch the floor. You have run the calculation more times than you can count, moved the same numbers around hoping they would land differently, and they never do. I have watched you look at that number and put the phone face down because looking at it any longer created a weight that was difficult to carry in front of other people. I was there. I was there the night you sat at the kitchen table with the bills spread out in front of you, doing the math for the 4th time that week, hoping you had made a mistake the first 3 times. I was there when you said yes to something you could not afford because saying no felt like admitting failure to someone you did not want to disappoint. I was there when you smiled through a conversation about money with people who have no idea what you are actually carrying. I was there the morning you transferred money between accounts just to buy yourself 3 more days before the next bill came due. I was there when you lay awake calculating whether you could make it work if one more unexpected expense arrived this month, and I watched you do that math again and again until exhaustion finally took you under. I did not look away from any of it, and I am not looking away from it now. I want you to hear this clearly. That number does not define what I am able to do in your life. I made everything that exists from nothing at all. A debt is not a ceiling to me. A deadline does not limit what I can move. Provision is already in motion toward you from directions you have not been watching, through people who have no obvious reason to think of you except that I placed you on their mind at exactly the right hour. An idea will surface in the middle of an ordinary moment, one so specific and so clear that you will know it did not come from your own strategizing because it did not. A door will open through someone who had no particular reason to think of you, except that I placed you there for exactly this purpose. Do not measure what is possible by what you can currently see in your account. Measure it by what I have already promised to do for the ones who trust me with what feels impossible. I do not improvise the important things. I prepare them, and I have been preparing this provision for you longer than you have been carrying the weight of needing it. What looks like a wall from where you are standing tonight is simply a door I have not opened yet, and I am already moving toward it, arranging the exact timing, the exact people, the exact circumstances that will make the opening make complete sense once you finally see it. The second is the person. Maybe it is a relationship that changed shape without an explanation. Someone who used to be close and is now distant, or gone completely, or present but different in a way you have never said out loud to anyone. Maybe it is the absence itself, the ache of wondering whether love is actually coming for you or whether everyone else received something you somehow missed. I know exactly who this is for you. I know the specific weight of what was said, or what was never said and should have been. I was there. I was there when the conversation you needed to have never happened. I was there when you rehearsed the words 100 different times in your mind and never once found the courage to say them out loud. I was there in the silence after the door closed, in the version of that relationship you are still grieving because it was real and it mattered and it is simply not what it once was. I was there the night you checked your phone one more time before sleep, not really expecting anything, but checking anyway, because some part of you had not fully let go of hoping. I was there when you sat in a room full of people and still felt completely unseen, smiling in the right places while something inside you quietly ached for the one connection that would have actually reached you. I did not turn away from any of that, and I am not turning away from it now. I want to say something to you that I need you to receive without pulling away from it. What happened in that relationship is not a verdict on your worth. It is not proof that something in you is fundamentally unlovable. It is the story of what happened between 2 people inside a complicated season, shaped by wounds that had nothing to do with whether you deserved to be loved well. You are worth staying for. You are worth being chosen consistently, not conditionally. Whatever verdict you picked up somewhere along the way about what that relationship says about you, I need you to set it down right now, because it was never a verdict I spoke over you, and you were never required to carry it as though it were. And if what you are carrying is not a broken relationship but an absence, a longing for connection that has not yet arrived, I want you to know I placed that longing in you on purpose. It was never meant to go unanswered forever. I made you for real connection, and the hunger you feel for it is not a malfunction. It is evidence of something designed in you that is still waiting for its proper place to land. Trust the timing, not because waiting is comfortable, but because what I bring at the right time is worth more than what gets forced into the wrong season. Give me one more day of trusting that what I said I would do, I am actually going to do. I need you to stay with me a moment longer, because before I speak to the voice working against you, I want to speak to something underneath both of the things I have already named. You have gotten very good at appearing fine. I have watched you hold yourself together in rooms full of people who needed you to be steady, who were counting on you to have the answers, who never once suspected that you were running on fumes while you smiled and nodded and asked about their day. I was there. I was there in the meeting where you said everything was under control while your stomach was in knots the entire time. I was there at the dinner table where you laughed at the right moments while a completely different conversation was happening underneath your skin, one nobody else could hear. I was there when you told someone who asked how you were doing that you were fine, and I watched the word cost you something every single time you said it, because it was not true and some part of you knew it was not true even as it left your mouth. I was there in the car afterward, in the few minutes of silence before you had to walk back into the rest of your day, when the performance finally cracked just slightly, just enough for something honest to surface before you gathered yourself again. I saw every one of those moments. I did not judge a single one of them. Performing steadiness when you do not feel steady is not dishonesty. It is survival, and I understand exactly why you have needed it. Most of the people around you only ever see the version of you that has already been arranged for their comfort. The version with the right words ready. The version who asks how everyone else is doing before anyone has the chance to ask the same of you. I see the other version too. The one underneath. The one who is tired in a way that a full night of sleep does not fix. The one who has been strong for so long that strength itself has started to feel like the only acceptable option. I want you to hear tonight that you do not have to perform it here, with me. You do not have to arrive at this moment already composed. You are allowed to be exactly as tired, as uncertain, as quietly exhausted as you actually are right now, without editing it into something more presentable first. I am not asking you to have it together before you come to me. I am asking you to come exactly as you are, unfinished, unsteady, still carrying the weight you have not set down all week, and let me meet you there instead of waiting for the version of you that never actually needs anything from me. There is a voice that has been working against you while you carry all of this, and I am not going to let it keep operating in silence. There is an enemy, and he is patient, and he studies exactly where the wounds are before he ever speaks. He does not usually announce himself. He whispers, quietly, in the space between your thoughts, when you are tired enough that you stopped questioning what you hear. He has been telling you that you missed your window, that too much time has already passed, that the mistakes you have made disqualify you from what I have for you. He has been telling you that the silence you have experienced when you pray means I stopped listening, that the doors that have not opened yet mean I decided against you. He has been telling you that the people who left did so because there is something fundamentally wrong with you, something unlovable underneath the surface that everyone eventually discovers and walks away from. He has been telling you that you are behind everyone else, that other people are moving forward while you stay frozen in the exact same place, and that this stillness is somehow evidence that I forgot about you. He has been telling you that the performance you have gotten so good at is the only thing holding your life together, and that if you ever stopped performing, everything underneath it would collapse. If any part of what I just said felt uncomfortably familiar, if you recognize that voice because you have heard it more times than you would like to admit, type here right now. Type it not because I need proof, but because I need you to feel yourself naming it instead of quietly carrying it the way you have been carrying it for so long. Naming a lie out loud, even just by typing a single word, begins to loosen its grip in a way that silently enduring it never does. You have carried this long enough in silence. You do not have to carry it that way for one more night. I am speaking directly to that voice right now, not around it. You do not have the authority to keep speaking into this life. Every word you have said over this person is a lie, not partially, completely. This person is not too far gone. This person is not too broken to be used. This person is not someone I decided to move past. This person has not missed their window, because I am not confined to a single window the way a human timeline suggests. I have been patient with this person longer than they have been patient with themselves, and I am not finished. I have not changed my mind about them. Not once. Not on the hardest night. Not during the longest silence. Not during the longest silence. Not during the season when they nearly stopped believing anything would change. He does not waste this much energy on a life with no future. He does not send this much resistance against someone who is already finished. He fights hardest against the ones who are standing closest to a breakthrough large enough to change everything connected to them. And that is exactly why the pressure has felt as heavy as it has felt lately. That pressure is not a sign you are losing. It is a sign of exactly how much is about to shift. I want you to place your hand over your heart for a moment before we continue. Feel it beating. That is not an accident. Every single beat is me saying I am not finished with you. Every single beat is me saying the story is not over. Even on the nights it has felt like it might be. Even when you cannot feel my presence. Even when the waiting has felt like silence and the silence has felt like distance. I have never once stopped moving on your behalf. And I am not stopping tonight. Every heartbeat you have had since the hardest day of this season was me still working, still moving, still preparing. Even when nothing on the surface looked like it was changing at all. I am still here. I have not moved. Everything I have said to you so far, I meant every word of it, and what comes next is the part I actually arranged this message to tell you. There is a third thing, quieter than the first two, that I have been waiting to say to you, and it is the one that will change how you carry everything else I have already spoken over you tonight. So if you have stayed with me this far, do not go anywhere now. Stay through what I am about to say, because the third thing is the one that matters most, and it has been waiting a long time to finally be said out loud to you. I am still here. I have not moved. The third thing is the question you have been afraid to bring to me directly, the one that begins with why. Why did this happen to me? Why has nothing changed yet after everything I have asked and waited for and believed? Why does it feel like I am praying and the words are simply disappearing into silence? Why do I feel this far from you when I have been trying this hard to stay close? Why does everyone else's prayer seem to get answered while mine sits untouched? Why do I keep showing up, keep believing, keep trying, and still wake up in the exact same place I was standing a year ago? I want you to hear me say clearly that this question does not offend me. I am not angry that you are carrying it. I want you to ask it, because I have an answer, and I am not going to make you wait until the very end of this message to know that one exists. I was there. I need you to understand exactly what I mean when I say that. I was there in the moment everything collapsed, not watching from a comfortable distance, present for every second of it. I was there when you sat alone and could not find words to explain to anyone what you were actually feeling because the feeling itself was too large and too complicated to fit into a normal conversation. I was there when you held yourself together in front of people who needed you to be steady and then quietly fell apart the moment you were finally alone where no one could see it happen. I was there the morning you woke up and, for a moment before you remembered everything, felt completely fine, and then watched the weight settle back over you the instant your memory caught up with the day. I was there when you searched for a reason this all happened and could not find one that satisfied you. And I was there when you stopped searching for a reason altogether and simply tried to survive the day instead. I watched every moment of it. I did not flinch, and I did not look away, not once. I was there the night you almost stopped believing, not almost gave up on a single plan or a single goal, but almost gave up on the possibility that anything in your life could ever genuinely be different than it currently is. I was there when you told yourself quietly, in the dark, that maybe this really is just what your life is going to look like from now on, and that the sooner you accepted it, the easier everything would become. I heard that thought form. I was in the room with you when it did, and I want you to know clearly that I did not agree with a single word of it, not one. My love for you has never been connected to your performance, and it never will be. It was not earned by the seasons you handled well, and it is not diminished by the seasons you are barely surviving right now. I am telling you this because what I am about to say to you requires you to receive it without the weight of shame pushing it away first. You have not disqualified yourself from anything I have planned for your life. You have not gone somewhere I cannot reach you. You have not used up whatever grace you believe is limited. There is no version of your failure large enough to move you outside the reach of what I already decided about you before you ever had the chance to earn or lose it. You are still fully inside what I designed for your life, still completely loved, still chosen, and I have not changed my mind about you, not even once, not during the hardest week of this entire season. Before this current season closes, you are going to see real movement, not a vague sense that things might be improving somewhere in the distance, but specific, visible movement in the exact area of your life that has felt the most frozen for the longest time. The area you have prayed about longest. The area where the silence has felt loudest and the waiting has felt heaviest. I am not speaking to you in someday language tonight. I am speaking to you in this week language, because what I have been building behind what you can currently see is nearly ready to become visible to you. And when it does, you will know it was me. Not because it will arrive with something dramatic and unmistakable, but because it will be fitted so precisely to exactly what you needed at exactly this moment that no other explanation will hold up. Type ready in the comments right now if you are choosing, even in this exact second, to believe that the waiting you have walked through has had a purpose, even if you are still not entirely sure what that purpose is yet, especially if you are not sure. Faith that moves in the middle of uncertainty is the strongest kind there is, stronger than faith that only shows up once everything is already resolved and safe to believe in. You do not need certainty to take this step, you only need willingness, and willingness is something you already have, or you would not have stayed with me through everything I have already said tonight. I want to speak now to the anger some of you have been carrying, quietly, underneath the version of faith you show other people, not simple frustration, actual anger, the kind you do not say out loud in front of other believers because it does not feel acceptable. Because somewhere along the way you were taught that being angry with me is dangerous, or wrong, or evidence that something in your faith is broken, so you keep it hidden. You perform gratitude and trust on the outside, while underneath there is a real, honest anger at the gap between what was promised to you and what you can currently see with your own eyes. Maybe you have never once said the words out loud, not even alone in your own room, because saying them felt like it would make them permanent, like speaking the anger would somehow prove you had failed at faith, rather than simply prove you are human and still deeply hurting. I need you to bring that anger here, right now, without editing it first. I am not afraid of it. I am not offended by it. I do not need you to protect me from your honest feelings the way you protect everyone else from them. I am not a fragile presence who cannot hold the weight of your disappointment. I held Job in his anger and did not turn away. I heard David's fury written into the Psalms and still called him a man after my own heart. I can hold your anger and your faith in the same hand without either one canceling out the other. What I cannot work with is the performance. What I cannot reach through is the wall of managed emotion that keeps presenting me with a version of you that does not match what is actually happening underneath. Come to me as you actually are tonight. Angry if you are angry, exhausted if you are exhausted, doubting if you are doubting. Come as you are and let me meet you in the real place instead of the place you think you are supposed to occupy in front of me. I want to speak now to the specific fear some of you are carrying, that if you finally face what you have been avoiding honestly, you might discover something you do not want to know, an answer that complicates things further instead of resolving them simply. I understand that fear, and I am not going to pretend that honesty always produces a clean and comfortable resolution. Sometimes clarity reveals that a situation is more complicated than comfortable avoidance allowed you to believe. But an uncomfortable truth you can actually work with is still worth more than a comfortable uncertainty that leaves you frozen indefinitely. The discomfort of knowing has an endpoint. The discomfort of not knowing, sustained indefinitely through avoidance, does not. It simply repeats itself, night after night, in slightly different shapes, until you finally decide that facing it honestly is less exhausting than continuing to outrun it. I need to speak directly now to the voice that has been shaping how you interpret everything I have already said tonight, the voice that is not mine. There is an enemy, and he has a specific strategy against your life. Not a generic one, a targeted one, built from years of studying exactly where you are most vulnerable. He wants to use your past to disqualify you from your future. He wants to use your failures to convince you that you were never given a real purpose to begin with. He wants to use the people who hurt you to convince you that you are simply not worth loving well. He wants to use financial pressure to make you feel invisible, and physical or emotional exhaustion to make you feel abandoned by me. He studies which memories still carry a charge and returns to them exactly when you are most tired, most alone, most likely to receive the old lie as though it were a fresh and undeniable truth. He is not creative. He recycles the same handful of accusations over and over, dressed up slightly differently each time so they feel new, when really they are the exact same lies you have already heard and already survived more times than you realize. But here is what he did not account for. He did not account for my faithfulness. He did not account for the commitment I made over your life before you were even born. He did not account for the fact that I have never once lost a battle on behalf of someone who chose to keep trusting me, even imperfectly, even through gritted teeth, even while still carrying the anger we just spoke about honestly. I am canceling the weight of that assignment against you right now, not eventually, right now. As you hear these words, the attack on your finances is coming to an end. The attack on your relationships is coming to an end. The attack on your mind, the exhausting, repetitive 3 a.m. attack on your mind, is coming to an end. The enemy does not retain authority in areas he has no rightful claim to, and he never had a rightful claim to any part of your life to begin with. I am taking back what was stolen. I am restoring what was broken down. I am rebuilding what felt permanently collapsed. I am doing this now because you have remained faithful through more than most people around you will ever know, and the time for what you have been waiting for has finally come. You are not behind. I know that is what it feels like most days. I know you look at your life and measure it against everyone else's timeline, everyone else's visible progress, everyone else's doors that seem to have already opened while yours have stayed shut. I know you scroll through the lives of people who seem to be moving forward effortlessly while you feel stuck in the exact same place you were standing a year ago, and I know how much that comparison costs you every single time you make it, even when you tell yourself afterward that you know better than to compare. And the enemy has used every single one of those comparisons to whisper the same lie into you over and over again, that you missed your chance, that it is already too late, that everyone else gets their breakthrough except you. Every single word of that is false. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not the exception to a promise that everyone else receives. Your timeline was never meant to match anyone else's, because your life was never a copy of theirs to begin with. You are exactly where I need you to be for what I am about to do in your life, and what I am about to do is not small. Type truth in the comments right now if you are ready to receive what I am releasing over your life tonight, and then watch closely over the next 30 days. Because the moment you declare it, something genuinely shifts. The grip loosens. The doors that have felt permanently sealed begin, quietly at first, to move. You will not necessarily see everything change overnight, but you will begin to notice the small signs, the conversation that suddenly happens, the door that opens a crack, the peace that arrives in a moment that would have normally undone you completely. There is a peace on the other side of this season that you have not experienced yet, not the peace of every single problem being neatly solved, but a deeper peace that comes from knowing, in a place no circumstance can shake, that I am present in every detail of your life. Personally, not mechanically, lovingly, not distantly. That peace is already being built in you right now, through the very things that currently feel like they are working against you. The pressure is producing it. The waiting is deepening it. The nights that felt like they were breaking you were actually the nights that were building the exact depth of trust you are about to need for what comes next. And on the other side of this season is a testimony, a real one. Not the kind that only sounds good inside a church service, but the kind that reaches another person in their own darkest moment and pulls them back from the edge of giving up, because they will be able to hear in your voice that you actually know what real darkness feels like, and that you actually know what it looks like when light finally breaks all the way through it. I do not waste pain. I do not allow suffering to exist without purpose. Every difficult thing you have walked through is raw material in the hands of someone who specializes in making something permanent and beautiful out of what once felt like total destruction. I love you. I chose you before you ever had the chance to earn it. I am not finished with you, and what I have already prepared for the next chapter of your life is going to make everything you walked through to arrive here make complete and permanent sense. Do not carry this message alone. There is a specific person in your life right now standing exactly where you were standing when this message reached you, and they need these same words today. Share it with them. Not because sharing proves anything, but because the word you received tonight was never meant to end with only you. You came to this message carrying more than you said out loud to anyone. You are leaving it accompanied. That is not a figure of speech tonight. That is a reality. I am with you. I have always been with you, and I am not going anywhere. Whatever tomorrow holds, whatever this week still has ahead of it, whatever conversation or decision or quiet moment of doubt is still waiting for you, you are not walking into any of it the way you walked into today, carrying it as though no one else fully understood the weight of it. I understand the weight of it. I have understood it this entire time. Rest tonight. Let what I have said settle into the places that needed to hear it most, and carry it with you into tomorrow morning, not as a memory of a message you once watched, but as a decision you made tonight to stop carrying everything alone. Amen.